Yeah.
We're
So if I
now-
fall asleep on camera,
I'll wake you up.
I've been warned.
Yeah. So you've been following the Brexit thing at all?
A bit.
Dude,
you
it's
know,
looking
it's weird. I haven't seen too much of the mainstream news. I was just watching Sky News to try and get caught up with it.
right.
But I've got a coworker whose brother is like a Labor Party official who is like vehemently against the exit. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Hold on 1 second. I think I figured this out. Give me 1 second here. Because I can actually see everything now.
Cool.
Watching Sky News to try and get caught up with it.
Right.
But I've got a coworker whose brother is like a Labor Party official who is like.
Can you see the question?
Against the exit. And I'm like, oh, come
See the
on.
question? I don't see
I
a
just put
question.
Turkey's bandwidth. You see that on the side?
Nope.
You can't see. Okay, so what we're going to have to do then is we're going to use the chat. You can see the chat group, right? The group chat?
I'm looking at the group chat, but I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, do you want anyone that says Q&A?
QA?
Can you see that one? Do you see that part that says Q&A on the left-hand side of the screen?
I just typed in something. You tell me if you see that.
I see it on the group chat. Okay, so do you see where the group chat little icon is?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see below that it's got like a green screen share?
Or
do you not see that?
I do. I see a button that says screen share now. I had to click it. It was hidden.
Does it say showcase there?
Yep.
Okay, so below that you see the Q&A?
Yes.
Click that button.
I see turkey sandwich.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I put. Okay, perfect. So that works. Turn this.
I will say this. I can't add to it, though.
Yeah, we
Like,
can't
there's
add. We answer the questions.
Oh, that's fine. As long as they have a place where they can actually go.
Right, so we just have to share the right page now.
Cool.
Let me click this because I can hear myself wandering on here somewhere. Okay, I think I killed that. All right, so I'm going to give you the link to share. Will you put it on your personal page? I'll put it on my personal page. I'll throw it up on Twitter right now.
Okay.
We are going to share page I'm sending you right now. I'm going to throw it up on the Liberty page. PrePodcast number 2 starting now. Oops. You want to put that on the AP page as well?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the link right. I'm looking at the link to share. So are we going to see it in our side tab, or are we going to see it on YouTube? Or
they can watch it on YouTube, but they can't interact. Be invited into the chat. Be nice if there was a button to just do this all at once.
right. Now, do we get to see when people file in, or?
All right. Yeah, I should be able to tell. We have nobody in here yet.
Okay, so we're not embarrassing ourselves yet.
No, no.
Cool.
So I'm going to text my buddy to tell him, because, well, Billy wanted to know when we started so he could watch.
Yep.
All right. Dude, I took fucking loads of notes on that debate last night at the town hall. Just loads. Like, transcribed every nonsensical answer that I heard.
You must have been like Clockwork Orange, eyes peeled open in order to do that, because that was hard. That was difficult.
I'm going to move my lighting around me so that way it doesn't fucking look like I'm sitting behind something. But I'm using a floodlight, so that's better. Now the snowball needs to get out of my way. All right.
Let me mess with my lighting a little too while we're at it.
We don't got nobody in here yet. So I'm going to tag Van in this post. And
Oh, Grant shared our post.
yeah, I'm just going to tag some people. Susan. At Scott. At Billy. At. All right. Now let's just hang out here and we'll see how many people start to jump in. Hopefully they'll start flowing in here soon. Oh, we'll see what happens here. So I came prepared today. That's my dress. My dress down.
Yeah.
I'm
still reeling in disbelief from that town hall. Like,
it was just so frustrating and then I saw a post today online about somebody saying you people who don't support Gary never supported Gary and they were never going to come around to him, and I was like, no, like I'm literally trying to find any reason at all to say I want to vote for him. But the only way I can say I want to vote for him right now is because it helps potential future campaigns.
See, I just feel like an asshole because I took it and I started promoting him. I've been aggressively promoting him for a week. And
Right.
I felt like today was like me doing an apology tour. Like, people are like, what the hell was that? I might as well vote for Trump.
No,
And that's
seriously.
what I got as a response all day today. And I'm not talking like kids. I'm talking about people who I have contacts who make $200,000 plus a year, who like, they're very serious Republicans who are on the fence. That chased them back over.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, is he shifted. I mean, we'll talk about this when people actually get here, but he shifted far to the left, so far to the left that he alienated. I mean, he even went as far to say that when he was talking about God, and they're like, what do you believe? And he said something to the effect of, well, the God that why don't you go to church, is what they asked him. They said, why don't you go to church? And he said, well, the God that I believe in doesn't belong to any religion. After he just admitted that he was a Christian. So I don't know. I mean, it was the utmost of pandering that I've ever seen. Like, it just blew my mind.
Yeah. I think I'll talk about this once we get some people in there, but seriously, the whole part that took the night for me was snorts heroin, becomes crippled, invokes Pulp Fiction, Gary stumbles. Like, that was such an awfully delivered question, and sympathy aside, Gary should have been able to knock that one out of the park. Like,
Right.
I still think that was a softball.
I think we got somebody in here right now. If you guys can see us, there should be a question and answer section on this video, unlike there was last time. So if you guys have that, you guys feel free to put questions in there. Oh, they're gone now. We spooked them. We had somebody, and I started asking. Somebody's back. Do you get to see that viewership down at the bottom too, Keith?
All I see is Cody and you in the bottom right hand. That is
Okay. Under that, does it say Liberty Coast to Coast pre-podcast number 2?
Nope. I see none of that.
Well, I will let you know how many people we got in here right now. There is somebody here.
Oh.
So I don't know who
the Hillary plan.
We got a question. There is a question there now. There is.
Well,
hold on. I'm back up. From Cameron. Bill Weld, a Hillary Clinton plant. Ooh. So we're kind of sticking with the Trump, almost the Trump conspiracy that's been floating around. And
I think at this point it is more likely that Weld is there for Hillary than Trump. That is my contention after watching last night.
Yeah, I have the quote written down too about what he said in specifics to being friends with Hillary. I took so many notes for anybody who's in here right now. I took so many notes that I actually have to run through them to see what he was speaking about. But essentially, he said that they were good friends, that they had a lifelong relationship, and they were good friends. I mean, if anybody's going to be a plant for Hillary, I would expect them to at least pretend that maybe they weren't as close as they are.
Just for the sake of the Libertarian nomination. I mean, it doesn't look good to cozy up to them.
Yeah, like not only that, it's just how. I mean, the biggest thing for me last night, the biggest takeaway I had is when they were talking about Hillary and Gary's on there, and you see him physically fighting himself, not to say anything negative. He knows he should, he knows he wants to, and then he goes on to say that she was what do they call her? A qualified statesman, something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was her or Obama, but they couldn't praise the two of them enough. And
that is red meat, though. That is red meat. I mean, they're outside of the LP. There are 60% of the nation thinks they're both liars and crooks.
Oh yeah.
Who are you pissing off?
And again, Jill, I don't know. I mean, Austin perfectly nailed. He goes, look, any poll where Jill Stein's included, Jill Stein is taking from Gary Johnson right now.
Absolutely.
Keep sucking up to the left. I mean, liberal vote's going to get split 3 ways now between Stein, Johnson, and Clinton, and Trump's going to be your president.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's what it looks like.
Right, and the biggest part of that too it's not that we're trying to say pander to the left, pander to the right. Obviously, you don't do that. But right now, we have to think about, I mean, the support you've already garnered, right? I mean, especially with Austin, he brought in a lot of people from that Never Trump movement. It brought in a lot. And last week was a slap in the face to anybody who jumped on ship.
Oh, absolutely. And I see Brian Genther has joined us. He is an awesome dude out of Augusta, Maine. Thank you for noticing the bow tie, Brian, if you're out there. Still.
Sorry, I'm not as fancily dressed. I'm out here in SoCal. It's a little warm. I just left the beach today, so I'm still trying to come down from my suntan, or my sunburn, I should say. That way, I had to stay cool in the weather. That's why I'm outside as well, not cooped up.
Well, I didn't warn you either.
Yes.
Normally, baseball cap and a t-shirt for me, but I'm feeling fancy, and I felt like, I don't know, I'm in mourning for Feldman right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody here, I'm sure everybody's here has heard, especially if you guys are involved on the interwebs here, that Mark Allen Feldman, the good doctor, passed away last night, I believe it was, is when he actually deceased, but we all found out about it this morning.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure of the time of death or cause, because I have been up, down, around, and working all day. I talked on the phone to Van Goudier about maybe 3:45 today, and geez, we were both on the edge of tears. Like, it's
yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
I've been messaging him for the last 3 days, so it's not like.
Well, the thing was like we saw him 3 months ago saving somebody else's life.
Yeah.
At the convention, some guy, I don't know exactly the situation that happened with him, but I think he got hit by a car, or he, fell something in the street.
No, he got hit by a car, and Feldman was the first people to rush to his side. Just, despite having plenty of events planned, he pretty much scrapped what he was doing and ran to this guy's aid. Feldman was a selfless dude. He was in a lot of ways, I think, some of the best parts of the Libertarian Party.
Right.
He was snarky. He was clever. He was kind-hearted. Just an incredible communicator.
Yeah.
He would have been the perfect Libertarian press secretary. And if Austin had gotten the nomination and gone on to win it, I think he would have been the perfect press secretary. Can you imagine those White House briefings with him?
Yeah, wrapping out the Daily News.
Oh, been great.
It would have been. It would have changed the dynamic for sure in the White House press corps. They may not know what to do with themselves if they just had the good doctor up there rapping away the news of the day. So that it would almost be like if you watch Jimmy Fallon and he slow jams the news.
Yes.
That's kind of what I imagine.
Oh
Dr.
God. Yes.
He would have slow jammed the news from the White House.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you had your calendar marked, but I was looking forward to him and Van were going to do a debate, and they were going to have a bunch of money go to charity July 1st. You know,
Right.
I was hoping to cover it, and I was hoping we were going to, you know, have one of the first eyes on it, but
it's just shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, it really makes you realize kind of how fast things change, and you just never know, you know. It's kind of the reason you get involved in this movement in a way. Life's too short to really be scared of you know,
consequences.
Yeah, it's too short to be living in fear of everything. I mean, and I think Dr. Feldman was even part of that story himself, where he was, you know, politically, you know, apathetic or just ignored it because he never felt like he fit in. And when he found the LP, it kind of changed his life because he realized it's not worth being scared because life is that short, especially being a doctor, realizing that. And when he found the LP, I think that's one of the things he said was that, you know, it's life's not worth living in fear of everything happening to you. So you might as well live it with, you know, the utmost freedom that you can possibly enjoy.
Yeah, and I think there's something really, really important to take away from his Votes Not for Sale campaign. The man would not accept a donation over $5. And I think that really plays not only to his character, but to the narrative of the LP. I mean, this is a shoestring operation we're doing now. A lot of what is done in the LP is done on heart and heart alone.
A shoestring is an understatement for us.
Bubblegum and toothpicks, I think Austin said.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But that's, you know, that's the only thing we have. We've got the blood and sweat, and we've got the noble cause. So it makes the work easy. It makes it a labor of love. And man, Feldman loved what he did. He really did.
Yes, he did. Just real quick, I know we're talking about Dr. Feldman. If you guys have any questions or you guys want to add some input, use the question section on here. I see we got 4 people in here right now. Feel free to interact with us. We would use the comment section. If you guys do end up hitting that, we can transfer over, but it is easier for us to stay in one area, at least on the screen. Again, this is just a pre-podcast for us, so you guys can kind of get to know Keith and I a little bit. I know you probably know Keith a lot better than you guys know me. I'm still new to the LP scene, but I'm hoping to make a big enough impression with you guys that you guys will enjoy coming out, not just to look at Keith and his big, exciting glasses, but to talk to me too. You know I didn't come dressed up. I feel really bad now. I look at Keith, and he's all primed up like he's going to a gala. And I'm sitting there.
Well, I got blue jeans on underneath this. So.
Oh, I'm going to wear pants.
But luckily, I'm not standing up.
I'm wearing some sort of pants, but, you know, so if you guys feel like you want to interact with us, I think we're going to be talking about Feldman for a little bit more. We're probably going to cover the town hall. We might cover, I think Keith and I were talking about covering the Brexit thing going on in Great Britain right now.
Yeah, I was just before this broadcast, I was watching Sky News, and it looks like all the exit polling is leading to an exit. And
we'll talk.
Congrats, Britain is breaking free from the EU. I mean, I can't guarantee that, but that's what it looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know what that is, definitely Google that search right now while you're on the computer. Take a look at it. It kind of plays into our narrative pretty big. Am I going to Politica? Oh, it's Susan. Your name's different on here, Susan. No, I don't think I'm going to Politicon. I have family and friends coming in this weekend, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it. I would have loved to. I did see that Gary will actually be there, but I don't think I'm going to make it up there. Are you going, Susan? You can go ahead and just follow up with a follow-up question up there, and I'll read it. Sorry, Keith. So that was going to be.
It's weird that question.
To Pasadena, California, anytime soon. I don't think you're going to make it.
Yeah, no, I won't be out there anytime soon.
So let's
make it up to PorkFest, but
yeah,
it hasn't been in the cards. Wait, what?
I said I wanted to go out to PorkFest. I would have flown out there if I realized it was going on right away. Come hang out with you, maybe get some dress techniques, so I know how to dial up my clothing.
Yeah. Usually I'm out there. Okay, so PorkFest is not a suit and tie event. At least not in my history of going to it. And this might be the first year I'm too busy to make it out. I really wanted to go, but just work has been crazy. But PorkFest is more like a t-shirt and swim trunks kind of all weekend thing. And then and I'm not gonna say this to trash any of the free staters, but my goodness, I don't think anyone there showers the entire week. Has been my experience. Like, it's something I would rather see on video than tape by the time it gets around to like Friday, Saturday usually.
Oh God, it sounds like one of those the Coachella or the big old music concerts that last all weekend and nobody showered, sobered up, or anything for 3 or 4 days.
No, and the drugs are everywhere and they're great. But I can say that I'm a libertarian, not a Republican anymore. Before I used to have to just be like, yeah, there are drugs out there, but I didn't touch them.
Right.
Now, just don't snort cocaine and end up in a wheelchair like Uma Thurman. I still can't believe that question. That is the one thing that has bothered me all day, that CNN tried to invoke Pulp Fiction. I mean, I love Pulp Fiction as much as anyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we can start digging into that now too with the debate and talking about that. And for anybody who has just jumped on here, this is my notes from the town hall, not the debate, sorry, the town hall from last night. Just because as I was sitting there, my mind was exploding, and I think my light's a little too close for me. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna scoot that back. But
I was gonna say, all I saw was white paper.
Hold on, I gotta adjust my crappy setup in the backyard so that way you guys can actually see what I look like. That looks a little bit better.
Going Saturday, Austin Pearson bumper sticker. More the merrier. You got little stickers, big stickers, T-shirts. Cover it. Be one of those people who knew better.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's basically what you want to say is, hey, I'm part of the LP, but I'm not part of that wing of the crazy LP, because it's, I mean, well, basically what you're saying is you're not part of the GOP. Because I don't know if anybody watched the town hall last night, but it sounded actually, it may not even have been GOP. It leaned pretty heavily Democrat, honestly. They pandered hard last night. They made no qualms about it. I mean, one thing that I was shocked off, like right off the bat, they were talking about word association, and Keith and I were hitting on this earlier if you guys jumped in as we were kind of just chatting, waiting for people to show up. They were doing the word association, and the first thing they brought up was Obama. And Gary's response was, good guy. Like, he was asking, he wasn't even sure if that was something he was okay to say, though he knows he's on a show where there's red meat, that you can say, hey, no, Obama's done this wrong, or he's had these issues with the platform I stand for. My dog's barking next to me. I apologize. I don't know. What did you think about those word associations, Keith?
Yes. I mean, for one, it's kind of a weird game to play in a town hall. I don't know if the biggest problem I have with the town hall and even the word association thing is it seemed like it was the same lame Q&A format that we have seen for the last 4 to 6 months. The only difference was Weld was there, like Step Brothers style. You know, hey, we interviewed together.
Did you notice how many they said we're representing a united front, and then they answered the question 2 polar different ways?
Oh yeah. I mean, they did seem to agree on Hillary and Obama during the word association bit, but the biggest disconnect for me was the IRS when they were talking about, oh, well, let's abolish the IRS. And I was like, yay, Johnson, you finally got it, buddy. And, well, whoa. We can't be jumping to conclusions here.
That was so bad. That part, there was that part, and there was another part where he was talking about, they were talking about, it was essentially he's proving that Bill Weld is a bake the cake libertarian as well. And in terms of, they were talking about association in some sense, and they were talking about how the government has a role in passing law to protect the rights of citizens. Essentially saying that the citizens don't have a right to choose free association should it violate or, quote, violate somebody's rights. But I think the biggest fallacy there is they don't understand that I can violate, I mean, it's not a violation of rights for me to say I don't want to serve you for any particular reason, because it is my right to do with those goods what I choose. So I think this is in terms of, he was speaking in terms of I believe it's the drug situation with the lady who had her son in heroin. And they were looking at the essentially a social net or safety net for those who are afflicted with drug problems. And Weld was saying something to the effect of, we need laws, which is ironic for a libertarian to say, we need laws to protect those who can't protect themselves. It was a summation of what he said. And I don't know if you caught that, but for me, it was so subtle. If you were listening to the context of what he was saying, it kind of threw me through a loop, because how you can claim to be a libertarian and enforce laws, to set up a foundation where the government is now coercing people to have association, it blows my mind.
Yeah. We could probably complain about Weld and his new brand of republicanism that he's been pushing since he's got on the ticket.
Right.
But can we at least agree on one thing? Weld can at least communicate. He actually commands a decent amount of presence, and so much so you saw Gary just, hey buddy, what do I say? What do I say?
What was that? What was that? Well, I've never seen a presidential candidate defer to his VP so often, especially because he's run for president before. Bill Weld hasn't run on a ticket, as far as I'm aware, at this level before, correct? Do you know of anything?
As far as I know, he hasn't. After his governorship, he was running for ambassador, or I say running, but it was more an appointment thing that got blocked. And I remember going back and looking at that stuff, and he presented himself really well then. I actually think he would have made a fantastic ambassador. Mm-hmm. But I keep having this nagging feeling after watching their dual interviews that he's the presidential candidate and not the VP. And I'm going to take some flack from libertarians here, but I would be more confident if I knew Weld was top of the ticket and Johnson was the VP, just because of the way he communicates.
Presentation.
And this has nothing to do with me being a past AP guy. This has nothing to do with me having any kind of angst against Johnson. I'm just going off of results. I want someone who can actually talk and communicate our ideas. It doesn't even have to be our platform. Just not look bewildered.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too, is Gary's stage presence is just terrible. Like, he looks like he is confused as to, like, he was so high that he woke up on stage and he doesn't know how he got there. That's what he looks like every time he's on stage.
That's not true. He hasn't smoked in 7 weeks.
Oh God, that was funny too, because in his quote, I believe, he's sharper, right? He said that he hasn't smoked in 7 weeks because he wanted to be sharper for his campaign, which just makes weed, right? That basically is saying that anybody who's smoking weed is doing a detriment, which is counteractive to anything that he's ever pushed before, in that aspect.
I mean, I actually like the idea of him sobering up to campaign. But if he's going to be an awkward whatever because he's not high, maybe he fucking should smoke one. Maybe
right. Well, no, I have no problem with him sobering up
well before the show and get on the same page.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that. I mean, just completely asinine that they sit there and pretend they're on a united front, and then neither of them can articulate. First of all, they can't articulate the LP platform on ideas they should know, nor can Gary articulate anything.
Let's take something that a lot of libertarians were upset about and actually see it as a blessing. They said they don't represent the Libertarian Party; they represent their campaign. Right. So when this all goes up in flames, I plan on running that around the clock, saying, "Look, that wasn't the Libertarian Party; that was the Johnson Weld ticket. We've got so much more to offer."
Absolutely.
You know, and I think libertarians at this point, we've been back and forth trying to figure out, do we align ourselves with Johnson for the sake of unity, or do we distance ourselves in order to still court independent voters that are not in that far left cone that he's preaching to? I'm starting to lean more to the second. I've been praising Johnson for the last couple of weeks, and I've actually been kind of excited at the prospect of him doing a little better. But I'm really wondering if if the right play here is to show dissent so we can still court Republicans. I saw Marco Rubio on CNN today, and he goes, I was thinking about Johnson, but not after last night. And I don't know if that was him playing the party line or if he actually watched it, but if he did watch it, I'd believe him.
Yeah, no, and that's the hard part too. Is I think that speaking for the general LP, I think that a lot of us were very excited to have major candidates on CNN. That's a huge opportunity for us, and to watch it kind of slowly and not from like the middle. It wasn't like it went half good and then it kind of stumbled and it picked up and then it stumbled. It was just a shitstorm from the beginning. Like it went downhill and downhill quickly. The highlight of the night was that Gary wore dress shoes.
I love that moment because I don't know if anyone here has been around the AP group for as long as I have, and that I was probably one of the loudest, if not the loudest, opponents of Gary's shoes. So seeing him put on a real pair of shoes made me so damn happy. And I actually got the call out from Austin today on his live stream because, when he came up to Maine, I knew he had a hard time in Michigan, and I got him a little gift bag, and in that gift bag was a pair of Gary sneakers, which he was affectionately wearing around Orlando. But Austin Nailey goes, look, if the shoes are you, wear them. That was a softball. That was an invite to talk athleticism. That was an invite to talk your mountain game. I know us as libertarians are sick of it. Yeah, but us as libertarians are sick of hearing him talk about his mountains. But damn it, I think the public will have loved it. And I think that would have been a great time to talk about it.
I do. As an athlete, I'm very offended that he calls himself an athlete because he hikes. Like, there's nothing against hikers, especially if you're like a sports hiker, like you go do free climbing and things like that. But to sit there and pretend like he's an athlete, like he looks remotely like an athlete.
He's done Ironmans. He's done his cycling competitions. I'm not too terribly familiar with his athletic prowess beyond that. I know up here in Maine, we're trying to get him up here to participate in the Dempsey Challenge. Now I don't know how well. I've been hearing from a lot of Johnson's inside people that he's not too open to suggestion. On events, but we'd love to get him up here for it. I'd like to see, I honestly would like to see him sell himself as an athlete and an entrepreneur. And he kind of did in his opening statement.
Right.
But then he never came back to it. And he had many, many opportunities where he could have.
Yeah, it was just, and I'm not kidding. When I say the best part of the town hall was his shoes, that was the best part of his town hall. And I think that was probably a deferment to Bill Weld, too. That's the only thing I could think of as to why he actually wore shoes. He spent the rest of the night deferring to Bill, so that's probably where he did. He probably looked at Bill and said, hey, should I wear some dress shoes today? And Bill probably said, yeah, you most probably should. That's how I think the situation happened, at least.
He tucked in his shirt, too. That was nice.
Yes, he actually was presidential until he started talking.
Yeah, I mean, usually, he dresses like you are, and he should be dressing like I am. Oh, that's usually my look more often, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I'm on a podcast not running for president, though, right?
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Though I think this hasn't been the worst conversation. I think we've communicated ourselves better than Gary did last night. Gary should be watching LC2C and taking some notes.
100%. And I actually, when I was watching the town hall, I was sitting next to somebody and I looked over and I said, right now, with what I know of everything, and I'm not new to the Liberty movement. I'm new to the LP. But I've read Mises and all the Austrian economics and things like that. So I'm not new to the ideas, but new to the platform itself of the LP. But I could have articulated, if you give me talking points, I can at least pretend to know better than they know. Not saying that I don't know, but given the information that night, if you would have said, hey, here's your talking points, figure it out, I think I could have articulated those ideas far better than Gary Johnson did.
But they are not selling the LP platform. They are selling their campaign's new brand of republicanism. which
you're absolutely right.
I hope they continue on that line, because at this point, I'm happy we don't have to defend it as the platform. If we had to defend the town hall performance as a representation of our platform, I'd be upset. I'd be in mourning for our platform today, in addition to Feldman.
Right.
But I kind of woke up this morning. I just go, no, that's Johnson Weld. We don't have to defend that.
No, you're right. And I think it's hard to say, because I'm all about this point trying to grow the party from the grassroots, and I think that's pretty much the same page you are, especially since you're the VP in Maine, or the VP chair in Maine. I think that's pretty much our goal at this point. That's kind of the idea of the podcast. We want to bring other people into the LP who may not have been as enthusiastic before, because they only see philosophy, or they only see the burdensome, difficult parts of what we represent, as opposed to the fun, the exciting side, the entertainment side. Right. And for me, that's how I look at now. I have to look at the Gary or the Johnson Weld ticket. It's protection of the future, almost.
It's ballot access. That's the way I see it. I'm having trouble seeing it as anything else. I want to see it as more. I really do. They could probably eat a puppy on air. They'll still get my vote.
Yeah.
They're still better than Hillary and Trump. If anyone wants to be upset over last night and say they're voting for Hillary or Trump, and they were LP before, I really challenge you to look in the mirror and say, are you upset at the performance? Are you upset because you were on the, you were for another candidate before, or, is this going to be the answer? I don't know. It's just, it's hard, because a lot of us, but I think for a lot of us, especially the people who were behind Austin Pearson, last night was the confirmation of all our fears. Yeah. We were afraid that he would not be a good communicator, and he didn't. I don't know if you saw a post that was floating around the libertarian groups, but Yasuf Mahmood nailed it. And he said, I'm not addressing this to the Johnson supporters who are respectful about the candidates. I'm talking about those Johnson supporters who are self-righteously and outrightly dismissed the other candidates, and who didn't take us seriously when we said that our spokesperson needs to be sharp and eloquent, not awkward and dispassionate, and who didn't take us seriously when we said Weld was a Clinton-loving establishment status. You were completely wrong, and you owe Peterson, McAfee, Feldman, and Perry supporters an apology. Not because any of those candidates are better for the office of the President of USA, but because all those gentlemen were better at communicating and understanding libertarian ideas. Because you dismissed those very valid concerns about marketing the message without even understanding how important that is. You know who you are. And that was accompanied by a link to Reason's Nice Guys finished third, Johnson's Awkward Night. And we know Reason and Cato love Johnson, and they couldn't spin last night.
Right. I mean, you're right. He hits the nail on the head. He articulated exactly what I was telling people on the delegate floor when I was trying to switch votes. I talked to numerous people, especially probably the Gen Xers and the baby boomers who were there and who were delegates, most of which were Gary people. I tell them the same thing. I was like, do you care more about pretending that outreach that is easier to grow is far superior in terms of being electable than is articulation of ideas in the party platform and actually understanding what the people you represent? Or do we just continue to suffer from this? I mean, it's really kind of what the GOP and the Democratic Party, suffers from. It's their time, it's their turn, they have to go, there's nothing we can do about it mantra. Or in our case, it's the name recognition because they got kicked out of a different party, so now they have to come get kicked out of our party type thing.
And I'm going to take the Johnson side on this. There is something to be said when you have Hillary, who she has served as a senator, she has served as a secretary of state, but she hasn't served as a governor. And then you have Trump, who, I mean, heck, I hate to say this, he's a free market guy, but he doesn't have that governing experience. There is something to be said about two governors. But couldn't you find two better governors than that. I mean,
yeah.
Put Walker on the ticket. If you put Walker on the ticket instead of Weld, we would be at 15 plus right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
get rid of Gary, make the ticket Weld Walker. I don't care. Right. I would vote for that ticket, and I would vote for it enthusiastically.
The thing is, too, with that, at least if you're going to say, hey, we're going to nominate somebody who was a Republican, at least you know where he stands. He's not sitting there bullshitting you. He's not lying to you. And obviously, I mean, we're not going to advocate for that decision right off the bat. But if you're going to nominate somebody whose ideas don't fall politically with ours for some other reason, like the fundraising or like the fact that, he has name recognition, at least make it somebody who isn't going to bullshit to your face and pretend that you don't understand what's actually happening. Because that's exactly what Weld is. We can look at Weld's record with gun rights. We can look at Weld's record in Ohio, or not in Ohio, I'm sorry, in New York, where he almost cost ballot access when he flipped from the LP ticket to the GOP ticket. We can look at those things, and he's clearly, he serves his own interest.
Yeah. And he's exactly the kind of creature I think the LP has tried to fight this entire time. And again, I know that comes crazy after me saying Weld should be at the top of the ticket, but he can at least talk. That's something to be said.
Just articulation would be nice. No matter what you articulate at this point, have them say something.
Let's put all the credentials on the side. The one thing that was missing last night, and it's the thing that Trump has, and it's the thing that Trump does well, it's alpha status. And this is something that appeals to the emotional voters, and this is something that appeals to independents. These people look like people begging for the job. They don't look like people who have they need to take a page out of Jim Webb's book and be like, I'm your president. You just haven't voted for me yet. They need to take that page. They haven't. It's almost whiny. And if I go back to Orlando, I can't recall how many times inside people from Johnson's staff made the point that if we don't include Weld on the ticket, we won't be included in the polls.
Yeah,
that was. And I'm talking Gary's personal filmmaker who's shooting his documentary right now was trying to outline this entire case to me over 3 hours, saying, well, if you put anyone else on that ticket, even if we get Johnson, we're not going to be in the polls. They just won't respect us. Yet they respect Jill Stein. Jill Stein makes Bernie look like a right-wing lunatic. Okay, and she's getting included in these polls, and she doesn't have some crony governor on her. She doesn't have a CFR member on her ticket. I don't even know if she's picked a VP yet. I don't even know how the Green Party works. I don't think anyone does, even Green Party members, though.
I think you have to grow a plant, and the plant comes out with the name, something like that, something environmental. I'm not sure. You have to depends on your what is it, carbon emissions, and then if you have more carbon emissions, then you can't be vice president, something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now let's transition because I think we're fighting inwards a little bit, and I think we need to talk about the real enemy in the United States and
tax.
No, I think some people are going to take some. I'm not trying to offend some people here. I don't think we have any Democrats watching, but holy shit, you people need to get together. Because I left it on CNN after the town hall, and I was kind of waiting for that nice midnight rebroadcast I was promised. I never got it because all night, people who couldn't even be bothered to stand and filibuster were sitting around pouting like little fucking children because they couldn't rip up the Constitution. And I was so pissed off to see Shelley Pingree, who is one of my congressional representatives, sitting on that floor, just embarrassing my state. I don't know if you saw any of your representatives there.
Well, Nancy Pelosi's not my representative, but she's from my state. The guy that was talking all day today, I can't write. His name started with an S. I didn't even pay attention to him. He's from some actual. He represents a couple cities near me, but I don't know him personally. He was talking. I just assumed that the entire state of California essentially sat down on that floor because they have no idea what they're talking about. When they're sitting there talking about this no-fly list, and people are calling in. Like I sat there for 15 minutes today listening to C-SPAN, and they were letting people call in, and people are saying we need to pass this gun law because it makes sense. Well, if it makes sense, what's the point of the Fifth Amendment? What's the point of the 14th Amendment? What's the point of due process anymore? And I actually put this on my page today, and I put, what does due process mean to you? Because it seems to me that nobody understands what due process is or the purpose of it. And it seems to me that these Democrats who sat there on the House floor didn't do a thing. They sat there on the floor, catered food, bathroom breaks.
Oh, yeah.
And then they bitched about the air conditioning because supposedly they said that Paul Ryan went in there and turned the AC all the way up. So that way they froze to death on the floor, which just I would have done because that would have been fucking hilarious to watch.
Fucking who? If anything, I would have cut the AC and let the fucker sweat. I'm sorry. That made me livid.
They're staging a sit-in to take away rights of the citizen. That's what they're doing. It's not the Civil Rights Act they're fighting for. They are fighting to take rights away from people.
And I'm going to play the nationalist card here. But you know what? You want to do a little sit-in stage protest, and you want to chant, no fly, no buy, and this is what democracy looks like, and all that crap. You know what? You can do that on your street corner. You can do that in your public little safe space,
right,
on your universities. Don't bring that to the U.S. House. And these people are, I think, to the rest of the world watching. I was embarrassed for our nation last night. That's what our capital looks like. Grown men and women who are supposed to be our representatives acting like goddamn children because they couldn't rip up our chartering document.
No shit. And I mean, and it's funny to me because I think I'm verifying. That's what I'm pulling up on my phone right now. One of the guys that if I have this correct, one of the Democratic senators who was on the floor, John Lewis, I'm trying to get where he was from here.
Oh, everybody knows him
on the no-fly list himself for no reason. He was on the no-fly list himself. He would have lost his right to be able to buy a firearm. He then decided that didn't make sense to him, and it couldn't happen to anybody else, and decided to go sit down on the floor with these House Democrats and pretend like what happened to him won't ever happen again. We have never had a government agency in the history of the United States that's ever functioned flawlessly, right? I mean, that's just never happened. So why we expect an arbitrary list of people, supposed terrorist watch, thrown on a list where they all of a sudden lose their right to the Second Amendment? And I don't care what anybody says. That's exactly what it is. It is stripping somebody of the right of their right to their Second Amendment by the fact that they have no due process. There is no way they have not been convicted of a crime. They haven't even been charged with a crime. And to sit there and pretend like that just because they're on this list and now we're guilty until proven innocent is bullshit. It's straight bullshit.
Agreed. And it's just some of the things I heard, this should be a warning. They're saying, well, we have bipartisan support. Who do they reference? They reference goddamn Peter King. If I know something is bad, Mr. King of the Patriot Act himself is who they are referencing. They're referencing Susan fucking Collins, okay? Susan Collins is she's my senator, and Chris Lyons will be replacing her shortly in my state if I have anything to say about it. She is one of the people who broke the line on the ACA. She's one of two Republicans who broke the line on the ACA just so Obama could come to our state and do his victory commencement speech after that went through. Okay?
Shameful.
We have not forgotten that. The problem is the damn Republicans here are too afraid of losing their little 20% share of the vote and their precious senators that they don't buck the line. I think we need to do a section, and this needs to be on the real show, not just our chat and our. This is good practice for us. And I don't know if we still have anyone watching, but this has been good practice for us. Well. But we need to do a section. Who said it? Senator Collins or Dianne Feinstein? And I think we'll surprise. We can compare Maine, because I got Susan Collins this week, and I don't know if you've seen any of my angry Facebook posts, but they've been especially livid this week, talking about her talks about, well, it's okay because my bill includes a provision that will reimburse you for your legal costs if you have to sue to get off the list. So
that's such bullshit. You can't even get the money if you're looking just at the insurance market for healthcare. There's doctors leaving the insurance market, not even dealing with insurance because they can't get paid because the government now runs the insurance markets. So why would that be any different?
but think about this. So if you get a positive ruling in a federal court case, the result of that positive ruling is that the federal government will comp your costs. Geez, where's the financial incentive there? If you thought it was corrupt before, they're going to start filling, you get on that list. Why would they ever take you off it?
Just let you sue. You sue and then rule against it. Sue and then rule against it. So you just keep shoveling money into the government for a list that they arbitrarily created for something that's
the federal government. I mean, we've spent over $33,000, and we had even Karen Ann Harlows talking about our ballot access thing up here, suing in federal court. It is not cheap.
No.
And you shouldn't have to sue for your Second Amendment rights.
No. Especially without charges. Like, I was reading a story. There's a 7-year-old little girl who was thrown up on the no-fly list. For what? For what? She conspiring with ISIS on Facebook? Like, what did she? Put a Pop-Tart gun up to somebody? Like, what the fuck happened there?
I got a submission for the no-fly list. Let's throw Kunstman on there because I don't want to be stuck next to that whiny bitch. If I have to listen to that kid cry, and I say kid, I'm 27, but I take him. There are 10-year-old girls who handle an AR-15 better than he does.
Well, the thing is, if you put him on that list, he'll probably think that he's being, and this is going to sound horribly, just to put in the hyperbole that he's
PTSD from it. We know that.
Oh, he'd probably pretend like you were barcoding him, ready to go into some kind of internment camp. That's probably how
That's how the Democrats were under Bush. That's what Elijah Cummings himself was one of these people who was out at the front. And I actually used to kind of think I agreed with him when he was saying these terror lists are unconstitutional. This is an affront to liberty. And he had the ACLU behind him. And I was like, I don't always agree with Democrats, but you guys are totally nailing it. We have a mutual enemy in Bush and this authoritarian list bullshit.
Well, how did you ever see a world where House Democrats would be sitting on the floor crying in favor of Bush era terror watch lists?
I can't believe it happened.
And then beyond that, I don't know if anybody saw Liberty Laura's live stream the other day where she was talking about how she rescinded her endorsement of the NRA.
Well played.
She's been a member of the NRA since I think she was allowed to be. But she was talking about how the ACLU is now to the right of the NRA in terms of their gun policy, because the ACLU is at least saying, hey, without due process, you can't use the terror no-fly list to take rights away from people. The ACLU is actually more gun-friendly than the NRA is right now.
And if you watched the sit-in yesterday and you listened to every time CNN interviewed any of these Democrat congressmen, you would think the war and the threat wasn't ISIS, that it was the NRA. You would think it was the NRA that went into the Pulse nightclub and killed those people.
There was a guy who said that. He obviously wasn't one of the House Democrats, but there was a guy who said that the war is not with Islam or ISIS. The war is with the NRA and Republicans. He was an interviewed person on the news, and I don't remember exactly who it was, but I remember seeing it. And I'm just thinking, like, there's no way that people actually believe that. There's no way that people actually believe that the NRA is more at fault for something than the actual shooter who went in and committed these acts.
And it comes down to the biggest problem we have with the DNC and the protected classes. And I don't know if you follow Milo Yiannopoulos. Yeah. I'm a big fan of him. I think the guy is the walking embodiment of the First Amendment. Mm-hmm. But his post-Orlando speech, every single person, or you had CNN there, you had NBC there, you had Fox News there, not a single one of them dared to run his speech because he was so goddamn right. And what he was saying was that political correctness killed those people. That Omar Mateen was on terror watch list, and he was taken off because of sensitivity towards one protected class, and that the Democrats have now taken Islam and put it miles ahead of every other protected class. That the gay community has literally nothing. They should be ashamed that you know, the bodies aren't even cold, and the Democrats are back to pushing the gun agenda rather than recognizing the tragedy that has just unfolded.
Yeah.
You know, his event, he had to have 2 events canceled right following it because the Florida police had to divert staff to protect mosques and said they can't allow him to have his event because he would be inciting violence.
Yeah.
By speaking his mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of Milo, and just kind of adding on to what you're saying there, in Orange County, California, University of California, Riverside, Irvine, University of California, Irvine, the college Republicans were just banned for a year. They were disbanded for a year, re-inviting Milo back to campus because he incites violence. They're out. We just had confirmation that Brexit voted to leave. They had just voted to leave the EU. So Britain has now voted to leave the EU.
Congratulations.
There is hope for small government in the world. It just may not be here right now, but it exists.
You know, I mean, congratulations, Britain. I know you just got out of an abusive relationship. You're a little battered. I know you still got a black eye, but the pound will rebound. You're going to have a whole lot of financial restrictions lifted off you. Yeah, that's good to see.
If that'll show up there, there's your results.
Oh, that is a tight-ass margin, too.
That is extremely tight. And the crazy part is their electorate turnout, 71.6%. The fuck is wrong with the United States? The land of voting can't get in the biggest election can't get 51%. Britain sent. I mean, obviously their numbers are far smaller than ours, but they can get almost 72% of their people to show up to a poll. We can't get 5 people to show up on Sunday for breakfast.
I got an idea. I know how we solve both our problems. We open our arms. We welcome Britain as the 51st state.
I take them before DC. I
would too.
And not in the sense that I don't think DC deserves statehoodship, but more in the sense of the politics in DC are just dog shit. So
I just think it would be fun inside 300 years that the U.S. could reign over both New England and Old England
without even a conquest, just by absorption. It'd be like venture capitalism. We just take a shot. Throw some money at it, see what happens. If we had money, I guess that would be, the Trump would probably be something into something like that. He would probably
let's make Britain a U.S. colony. How about that?
Oh, that would be ironic. I did see a meme today. It was a picture of the painting of Washington crossing to Delaware, and it said the original Brexit, which I thought was pretty clever. That's pretty awesome.
That's good. I can't wait to talk to you. I have a good friend who's got family in the Labor Party, and we fight about this stuff all the time. I cannot wait to rub this in his face tomorrow.
Oh, he was the guy you're talking about possibly doing the Keynesian Hayek debate, right?
Oh, well, something along those lines, or at least a UK versus like the best arguments we have, and they generally don't get ugly. Are just it's amazing the philosophy difference on the gun rights. He has a completely different mentality compared to the way leftists in this country view the gun rights thing. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the leftists just blame guns outright. Over there, they're like, well, if you're peaceful, why do you need them? Over there. I was ribbing him yesterday because I saw they actually have a campaign going right now called Save a Life, Surrender Your Knife. And there are chefs, and to anyone who doesn't know, I work in the restaurant industry when I'm not doing this. There are chefs who are like, what am I supposed to do? Karate chop my fucking onions? Like, they literally are like, if a knife is over 8 inches, it's illegal. If it folds and it's over 6 inches, it's illegal. There are people posting pictures of butter knives saying, will this get me 10 years in Britain?
Is that an assault knife?
Maybe. I mean, it's got a high capacity. I don't fucking know. I I don't know how you make a high capacity killing knife, but apparently now that they've eradicated the problem of guns, it's going to be knives. And after knives, it's going to be pointy objects. And after pointy objects, it's going to be heavy enough objects to crush a human rib cage.
Right. It's going to be random.
Yeah, I mean, maybe cars will be banned next. I mean, I'm still waiting for that.
Well, I think we've covered quite a bit of ground tonight, and I just want to, kind of wrap it up. Otherwise, because I know we could go for hours, but I want to see if there's anything.
We could, and we'll that's what our podcast will be.
Oh, yeah. Endless talking. But I wanted to see that we do have people who are still in here, and I know they've been hearing us talk, and to kind of bring them in a little bit to see if anybody's got questions that they may want to ask while we're on here for maybe like another 10 minutes or so. To see if anybody's got questions, whether it's about anything we've talked about what the podcast is going to be like, even if it's just to talk about or like to message us with things that you want to see, those kind of things. Go ahead and drop those in the little question box right now, so that way we can answer those for you guys as they're happening. And that way Keith and I can keep bantering, and if something pops up, we can address that.
Yeah, I think we went into this to try and feel out and try and do like a Q&A workshop, and I think we ended up just hanging out like libertarians do. I think this is actually one of the more serious nights I've had in our conversations, but there's a lot on our plates right now as libertarians. I think we need to draw a distinction right now. I'm gonna say it again, and I'm gonna beat this horse to death. I think Democrats are a bigger threat to the United States and our way of life than ISIS is. ISIS shows up, you can shoot back. Kokesh or no? Okay, Kokesh, no, because I owe Kokesh a great amount of my thinking comes from Kokesh. Like, I'm not so much classically trained in Hayek and Mises like many libertarians claim. I've read Road to Serfdom, but I would say Adam versus the Man. I kind of grew up at the same time as Kokesh, and I kind of watched him evolve, and I watched him kind of swing from constitutionalist to full-blown anarchist to Daryl Perry with better teeth, which is where he's at right now. But I suggest anyone who, and would you agree? I mean, he comes from that radical caucus viewpoint, and it's philosophically pure, and I honestly, I think if we argue any argument out to its philosophical ends, Kokesh will win. I think Kokesh will beat me and any other minarchist.
I agree. And I think that I would say, just to throw my 2 cents in there, and I know you have a close working relationship, and we've had discussions about him between us. I appreciate Adam Kokesh and the things he does a lot. I think he's a great messenger. I think he articulates everything very, very well. My issue is sometimes he's still a little bit of the shit stirrer. He likes to get in the dirt and get a little messy sometimes. And in terms of growing the party, I don't know how well that'll push through. But in terms of being a libertarian and doing the things that are expected of you in that realm, I think he's phenomenal. So I'm kind of like 50-50 on him.
Well, my recommendation is to anyone who likes Kokesh and is thinking about Kokesh and has heard about his book Freedom, which I think is an incredible resource for libertarians. I think they need to look up the Chicago 7 and Abby Hoffman. I don't know if that rings any bells with you, Cody, but Abby Hoffman was an anti-war protester in the 1970s who ran with the likes of Howard Zinn and marched on the Washington Square or the Washington Mall. And one of his big claims to fame was a book he published, and I say published loosely, but it was called Steal This Book. And the entirety of it was kind of like a revolutionary's manual. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of just a book. It was a lot like Freedom. It basically said, wake the fuck up. And his point was he titled it Steal This Book, and he had a hard time getting vendors to carry it for that reason. But his whole goal was he's not trying to run the world. He's trying to make people think. And I'm sorry if Kokesh sees this and he says I'm saying he's not taking his 2020 run seriously.
Come on with us.
But well, I would love to have him on
right now. This is a pitch. If he sees this and he gets angry, we'll bring him on.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I think he serves that Abby Hoffman niche, and that he's existing in the right time and place, and he's using the presidential run as a megaphone for, I think, a very good message. I think he does force people to challenge. The only thing I would challenge him, and this is the complaint I get, and I heard this a lot when I booked him for his Freedom Tour up here in Maine. A lot of veterans take issue with the argument devolving into people being called statist. They say if you served in any public capacity, and I think Adam's doing better with this now than he did prior.
He's definitely prepared his message.
If you call every veteran a statist, you are really closing off a huge opportunity for libertarian outreach. Because a lot of the strongest libertarians I know are libertarians who served in the, or individuals who served in the armed forces, swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, come back from serving, and wonder, where's my country gone? To quote Mr. Garrison. But it's the whole idea that, like, these people are at least getting a respect and an understanding for the Constitution and for limited government. And it's their basis in the military and their discipline that I think actually pulls them over to libertarianism, because they are looking for that moral cause that they thought they were fighting for. And I think people who don't enter the armed forces, I'm not saying that they can't, but I'm saying those people who do have this opportunity. And I think they're a huge, we should make a point to reaching out to them, not to chastising them. I'm the last person to say, you know, you are a statist and you love government and you're an authoritarian simply because you answered the call of duty. I did not serve because I morally disagree with the tenets of the U.S. government, but I still respect those who do serve. Right. So, and that's what libertarianism is about. It's about choice. We should not be excluding people for their military service.
Right. No, I agree. I couldn't agree more. Has there anybody else got any other questions out there? Do I ever floating around? I see there's like 5 or 6 people floating around, so just want to make sure before we jump off here that we can handle as many as possible, so that way we get people interacting with us, because I would like our show to do something similar to this, especially when we do live streams outside of the podcast. I think that'd be cool, just to do a lot of question and answer stuff so we can hit back on things that we go over during the podcast, or, you know, just kind of connect with everybody. So we'll give them a couple minutes here and see if anybody else wants to jump on that question board. If not, if nobody jumps on relatively quickly, then we may just end up calling it a night and look forward to setting up this week, shooting our first show. And we're planning on dropping it in about a week, right?
Yeah, we're looking at a soft launch July 1st. We're looking at a hard launch July 4th. And that'll be under the banner of Liberty Viral. We're going to take Liberty coast to coast, and we're going to use it to make Liberty viral. Both figuratively and literally.
Absolutely. And I think we were also talking about doing one of our casts from the beach, so we're actually coast to coast.
I would love to. I'm actually, right now I'm a little bit of an inlander, but I spend a lot of my time on the waterfront. I'm looking for a property right now so I can actually have a nice seaside in my background. And if not, I don't mind taking a walk out to the beach and doing a live stream from the beach. Liberty coast to coast. I mean, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, Liberty needs to be everywhere in between. We'll worry about the rest of the world after we straighten out our nation.
Hey, Britain's on the right track.
Britain's on the right track. Let's get France out of there. I don't know. I mean, I feel sympathetic. They gave us most of our thoughts of liberté. So, you know,
yeah,
I feel like
they had their own revolution.
We need to reach in and repel nationally, but we'll worry about that after we straighten our own nation out. You know, maybe let's convert Canada. They got Justin Trudeau up there.
for the picking if we can get down there and get the drug cartel out of everybody's life. They'd be ripe for the picking.
Yeah. Let's take over the world and leave everyone alone, as Austin would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys, if you guys have more questions, throw them up now. We'll give you guys a couple minutes to do so. Otherwise, while I'm talking, I think I'm going to pitch our website that is going to be – oh, I forgot to mention that. We're going to have a website here coming in the next couple days. I'm actually in the process of putting all that together. We have our official domain name, which will be www.libertycoast2coast.com. And we'll post that on our page as well as soon as it's up and running. We have some ideas in terms of our own branding that hopefully will be coming up and into play. I know we've been talking about that, Keith. But until then, go ahead and follow us on our Facebook page, Liberty Coast, number 2 Coast. And then our Twitter handle is at Liberty C T0, or sorry, TO, Liberty C 2 Coast, not the number, but the word. And that has to do with the fact that some lady on Twitter has our handle that we want, and I'm trying to squeak it from her because she hasn't been on there since 2013. So that's in the process of getting the correct handle as well. But other than that, guys, share our podcast. We want to reach as many people as we can, not just for our purposes, but to, bring as many people into the liberty movement as possible. I think that things like this that are non-threatening for people in terms of philosophy and overwhelming, where they don't have to worry about being pressed on their issues right away, but just forced to think a little bit, is a good way to spread our message. And I think that's what we need to start doing is stop looking at trying to convert people, but make them think about our message. And that's something I think we'll work big on. And I'm not seeing any other questions pop up, so we'll give you a last second.
Hey, let's put a copy of Freedom in their hands. It's free.
Absolutely. That's honestly a great idea.
I would love to. And if Kokesh sees this and he wants to work out some kind of partnership where we send out a copy of Freedom with maybe some kind of press packet or something, I would love to do that. I think it's an incredible resource. I've kind of used it like a Jehovah's Witness over the last 2 years.
You're going door to door?
Well, not so much door to door, but I always make sure. To go back to Gary's point of being a hiker and stuff, I end up talking to people and I end up giving away copies of it because I'll order it pretty often.
Right.
I mean, you go on his website, all you got to pay is shipping, so that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. That is. Hopefully, maybe we can get him to give us like a stack of those.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, now, definitely.
If we don't see any more questions here, might I make a suggestion on how I'd like to close out the show?
Absolutely.
In memory of Mr. Feldman, the great late doctor, I'd like to play his outro speech, the clip right from C-SPAN, and just kind of have a moment of silence to break it in and just remember that libertarian and all he meant to us. Seeing as I'm not seeing any more questions, I'm gonna try not to cry. I'll admit I shed a few tears earlier today. It did hit me really hard.
I can imagine you guys. Yeah, I mean, you and especially Van Goudier, you guys have been working pretty closely with him, so I can imagine having that kind of relationship. I wish I would have had that kind of relationship with him. I only met him a couple times at the convention, and I feel because he was somebody that had a different flavor for the LP, and he had an energy for it that was refreshing. So I think that's a good idea. Let's close it that way.
All right. Well, I'm gonna play it loud and proud, and we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna have a listen. This is my favorite moment of the whole Orlando experience.
Be that libertarian. I am that libertarian. I'm that be what you want to be libertarian. That you look good on TV libertarian. That Muslim libertarian. That Jew libertarian. That Christian atheist Hindu libertarian. That Rothbard libertarian. That Jefferson libertarian. You know I'm not messing libertarian. That LGBTQ libertarian, no sex libertarian, that MLK Jr. Malcolm X libertarian, that revolutionary honor hall Ron Paul libertarian, that Richard Winger Bill Redpath ballot access libertarian, that Daryl W. Perry no apologies anarchist libertarian, that Gary Johnson New Mexico success libertarian, that Austin Peterson Freedom Ninja in your face, libertarians! That John McAfee world-class badass libertarian! That no pain, no gain, get those petitions signed in the rain, libertarian!
I know it.
That sorry, I'm not sorry, libertarian! That can't stand the infringements and abuses, libertarian, that right here, right now, no excuses, libertarian. I'm that libertarian. Mr.
That's pretty awesome. I still think like that was one of my favorite moments of the convention for sure. And for anybody who got to see it, I think it was something special, especially given the circumstances.
And if you're watching this and you're not familiar with Mr. Feldman, I highly recommend you make yourself familiar with him. He was one of the greatest people the Libertarian Party has ever had the pleasure of hosting.
All right. Well, I think we will end it there. And if anybody has questions for us outside of this, or you guys just have information you want to share or anything else, share it on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page, our personal pages even, wherever you need to get a hold of us. And hopefully we can look forward to bringing some more things to you guys in the near future.
All right.
All right, Keith. I will talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Buddy.
Let's make liberty from coast to coast.
Are you going to make your tagline at the end?
Oh, I mean, you know, I wasn't thinking about, but it is important to remind people that I no matter what they'll do, I will always be more humble than them. Simple as that.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.